So what is somatic sexology? So I came to somatic sexology after exploring conscious sexuality inside of the tantric communities around the world. And when I went on that journey and I started to intentionally connect with my body, my life really started to change, as did my relationship with my body. And my experience of sex was just like, it was truly a life-changing experience. Now, the difference between Tantra and somatic sexology is that somatic sexology, which is also this idea of conscious sexuality, and what does that mean? It means that rather than abandoning myself into an experience hedonistically just for the pleasure at any cost, and sometimes, like to the detriment of how I feel about my body and myself. Conscious sexuality invites us into being present with our bodies, to be present with the pleasure, to be present with the vulnerability of having sex, to be present with what's moving through all aspects of our being as we're enjoying that intimate moment with someone. So it's quite profound. And it's also very different to the sort of lustful, drunken, throwaway sexual experiences that many people are having, and also the shame-based experiences that many people are having. So I found my way into this world and my life started to change through Tantra. And I have to say, there are lots of great things about Tantra. The problem is that it's an unregulated industry, field, and it is also dogmatic in the sense that it's not just, hey, have a look at what you can experience if you do this with your partner. It actually, there's a whole belief system of spirituality behind it and a lifestyle that you're often being called into. And the schools, the institutions that offer these experiences and this education have a lot of shadowy, often hurtful, we could say damaging, I mean, it is damaging, power dynamics that ultimately aren't completely empowering. And for me, the aim that I have inside of the work that I'm doing is that not only do you express your sexual self more fully, not only do you overcome any shame or dysfunctions or challenges in your sexual or relational life, but that you do it from inside of you, that you do it knowing and trusting that you have the answers. You do it without any dependence or giving away of your power to me, the coach, or to anyone else. So the fact that somatic sexology doesn't have like a belief system that you have to engage in, that you can enter at whatever level you like, and you're exploring your body for yourself to discover what sex means to you, what pleasure feels like for you, what way of having sex or being in a sexual relationship lights you up, what answers to your solutions feels right for you. And that can be kind of confusing for people because they want to be told what to do. You're the expert, Aisha, you tell me. And so you don't have to fear being stuck with like confusion in a session and wasting your time, energy, and money, because as a guide and an expert in somatic sexology, I'm able to offer you options. And it can be really helpful to have options. When we hear options, it often gives us a felt sense, like a feeling of, oh yes, I'm excited by that one, or oh no, not that one, that's too soon. And so we start to realize, oh, I do know something. I do have a preference. I do have a feeling. And ultimately, we're engaging your agency. We're activating your sense of self so that you can reclaim your boundaries. You can discover again your desires and your needs inside of this area of your life. And ultimately, that's what somatic sexology is about. And somatics refers to somatic psychology. And somatic psychology is a study on the intelligence inherent within our body and how the different parts of our body work together in a very intelligent way. And even, for instance, how our nervous systems are intelligent. The sense of instinct and impulse and things that we know before we can explain how we know them. It also, because of that foundation of somatic psychology, of the body being intelligent, we also have this idea that you're not broken. So even if you're stuck in compulsive behaviors, or your mind saying, I want to do this thing, and your body's not showing up for the experience, maybe you have erectile dysfunction, maybe you have premature ejaculation, maybe you have the absence of orgasm and feeling in your pelvis completely. There are all sorts of things that can happen. Huge anxiety that people deal with, that holds them back from going on the dates that they want to go on, all sorts of things that happen. And you might feel like there is something wrong with my body, or even my body doesn't like me, my body's angry with me, all these things that we can project. But the truth is, even if it can be hard to believe at this stage, and you don't need to believe it because it's something that you would explore and uncover for yourself in your own time. But the body, in my experience and the experience of all of the clients who've come to see me, the body is always serving us. And the body and our minds, ourselves, our beings, how we interact, is always moving towards, striving for safety and belonging. So we will, and our minds want to look good. Our minds want to do what please other people. Our minds want to be right. I don't know if you can resonate with that. I can totally resonate with that. And so there comes a time when we see, oh, my mind's doing this, but my body's doing this, and there is a divide between them. And usually that's when we have to acknowledge our conditioning and the impact that other people and the world has on us. And the body is a pure expression. It's our unadulterated desires and needs and boundaries. And so by tracking the nervous system of a client, we can find out what's real, what's true. And, someone might come along and say, hi, Aisha, I really want to have sex with my partner, but my libido's gone and I can't feel anything. And I'm like, okay, sure, let's explore this. And when we start tuning into the body and bringing the body into the conversation, we discover that actually the client wants to have sex with their partner, or wants to be available to have sex with their partner. But in truth, there is some reason why it's not happening. And it can be for a range of reasons, right? It could be that the client has, their body has changed, and they're terrified that if they were to share their body with their partner, if their partner were to see their body as it is right now, the relationship would be severed, the passion would end, and they would get rejected. That the partner would discover, oh no, that's not what I wanted. I thought I fancied you, but actually, I don't know what this is about. It's kind of intense. Another reason it could be is that perhaps there's an unseen boundary. So maybe the kind of sex that the partner wants to have, or the lack of contraception. So for instance, if they're not using condoms, and on one level that feels fun, but on a deeper level that is terrifying. That's quite a common one. So there are all sorts of unseen, hidden blocks that we may have not acknowledged consciously, but that are alive in the body and that want to be, that have to be brought forward and responded to and taken care of in order for that person's full aliveness to come forward. And that can sound kind of extreme, like, wow, can my body really shut down my erection because I want to use contraception? Yes, it absolutely can, and for a whole host of other reasons. Um, So somatic sexology offers you a space to have that inquiry with your body, with an expert guide who can ensure that you keep progressing and moving forward in the most efficient way possible, and who also models healthy sexual expression to you, who models being able to say what they want, to be confident and without shame, with courage, with vulnerability inside of the conversation. It's quite a transformative experience simply to be with someone who you know isn't going to judge you when you share the kinds of things that you're into or the kinds of insecurities that you have or what you might have been up to that you don't feel good about, or where you can undress, take off all your clothes in front of this person, and they'll truly feel privileged and enjoy being with you in your nakedness, you know? So that feels like a good sort of encapsulation of somatic sexology. It's it's a wonderful experience. One of the other things that I can share that is the structure of a somatic sexology session is that it will always start with the practitioner, or the coach. I'm a coach, so not everyone has like a coaching approach. I do. I feel it's very important because it's not. I don't simply want my clients to learn and have an experience. I want them to be able to integrate and move forward with that into their lives. And so I often say to my clients, the healing is in the living. What is an insight? What is the value of it unless action follows? And so for that reason, I actually only work with clients who understand that this issue is at the center of many things in their life that they want and aren't able to access. So I don't work with clients who are just kind of casually wanting to explore somatic sexology. No, I work with clients who want to have a life change, who are ready to call in huge things for themselves, huge dreams, um, hugely meaningful relational experiences, and not. And if you're not drawn to that, then we're probably not a great match, and that's okay. Maybe one day you will want that. So if I go back to what a somatic sexology session is, it starts with you sharing your intention. Why are you here? And that might prompt you to talk about what happened that led you to look for this work, to seek support. But it is also about where you want to get to. So people often are very focused on the problem, but they're not looking ahead to where they want to be. And it can feel kind of intimidating sometimes to be like, how do I articulate this issue I'm having? How do I explain this? Well, you don't need to worry. You simply come along for the session and I can help you with that. I can help you to unearth and articulate really what the issue is, as well as where you want to get to. And it can feel really scary, incredibly scary to think about what you'd like to call in, because it's painful to desire without possibility. when you feel, I want that and I'm never going to have it. In fact, a lot of people, they close off their mind to their desires in order to avoid that pain. The good thing is that this is exactly what I do. I'm here to support you going from A, where you are now in the issue that you're having, to B, your dream reality, your experience that feels so fulfilling, so meaningful, so pleasurable, so good. So you'll share your intention, and in the session it will be translated into what we call a learning objective. And so that is what you want out of the session. So if you're coming with a huge issue that you've had for 30 years, probably it's not going to get solved in that first session. And so it will get broken down. I want to understand, where I want to get to. I want to understand why this is happening to me. I want to understand what my body is doing. I want to, it's a first step piece. So anyway, you'll name your intention, you'll name your learning objective, and the practitioner will ensure that you're comfortable, that you're dropping out of your head, where we love to live, and into your body so you can feel, so that you're not just regurgitating the story that you already know, but you're starting to uncover new layers and new depth and new understanding. And then they'll also support you to resource yourself. So especially when we're working with trauma, and we all have trauma, we're human beings, we all have trauma. We need a resource, we need a way to feel safe. We need something to protect us in case we go into very deep experiences where we could feel more than vulnerable, scared, where we could feel suddenly overwhelmed. When we go into a nervous system dysregulation of like fight response or flight response or freeze, and if you don't understand that terminology, don't worry. And then the fun part, which is where we decide how. Well, you choose, actually. You choose how you want to move towards that goal that day in that session. And you don't have to have an idea about how to do that, because you can just say, I don't know. What are the options? And then I will tell you, you could do this, or you could do this, or something else. And I have endless options. I have so many tools and so much training that will always get to the right exercise or exploration for you in that session. And we'll also set it up with your boundaries. So say you came to me with body image stuff, and you wanted to explore, bringing in, integrating a better way of seeing yourself, where you feel sexy, where you feel confident about how you look, where your scars don't bother you, or your different sized breasts don't bother you, or the size of your penis doesn't bother you. We might do something called an undressing inquiry. And this is actually part of sexological bodywork as well. But I'm gonna keep going. I'll explain sexological bodywork at the end. And so you may choose to undress. You may choose to undress in session very intentionally and consciously, and be guided to have a new experience of your body where you feel really good. And inside of that, you can choose for me to have my eyes closed. So you're doing it with me in the room, but I'm not actually witnessing you, or maybe I'm not witnessing you at the beginning, and then when you're a bit more comfortable, you invite me to open my eyes. You may choose to only undress partially and not completely. You may choose to undress and explore your reflection in the mirror. So there are all these different options, and if we're working online, you may choose to undress but have your camera off. So we're still dialoguing, but you have complete privacy. And this is really essential, because often people think, if I'm going to this person, I have to do things their way. And that's just not how it is. And then after we've done that exercise and we set it up and we do it, then we reflect. Well, you'll have a little integration installation time, which is actually one of the most important parts of the session. It's where you rest and you start to digest and process the experience you had so that you can reflect on it after. So then you'll reflect either openly to me, or you might journal and write things down if you'd like to keep it with yourself. It's okay to want privacy with that experience. And then after we've reflected and you've learned, we'll set up an action for you to take, or a home play. So either a practice or an action step. And this ensures that whatever came up for you in the session actually changes your life, changes your experience of yourself. So this is the thing I spoke about where I'm like, intention and insight is awesome, but it needs to result in new actions, new ways of being in your life. So yeah, that's how a somatic sexology session goes. I do online sessions and I do in-person retreats. Okay, so what is sexological bodywork? I know, it's so exciting, and everyone is like, you are a what? You're a what? You're a what coach? You're a sex coach? And you do sexological bodywork? What is that? So, sexological bodywork, and I'm going to focus on the bodywork aspect. However, I want to say, just like everything else in every other way that I work, you can come along for a bodywork session, and if you are not ready, if it does not feel right, you don't have to do anything. It's not like you book in a massage and you go and they're like, all your clothes off. I mean, even then, you should be able to choose and say, actually, I'm going to keep my underwear on, or I just want this part of my body massaged. So in sexological bodywork, it's a wonderful hands-on tool. And why do we want to do that? Well, these are body-based methods. So anything somatic is body-based. And when it comes, sex is an in the body experience. It happens here. So if you're learning, or if you're healing, or if you're exploring sex, why wouldn't there be body work? Like it's wonderful. And it's so practical and it's so direct. So sexological bodywork is a series of many different exercises and tools that you have, all sorts of things from conscious undressing to pleasure and erogenous zone mapping to nipple and anal exploration, so you can discover, well, how do I get pleasure out of those parts of my body? Or scar tissue remediation if you've had surgery, or you've given birth, or for other reasons you have scar tissue that is actually inhibiting this part of your body, so particularly the genitals, but it could be the chest, it could be anywhere. I've worked with C-section scars and all sorts of things that are inhibiting people's confidence or their bodily function in the bedroom. There's also genital caress and tummy massage, all sorts of things. Now, all of these tools are not a passive experience, like if you went for a deep tissue massage, or like if you went for many tantric massages. This is an exercise of active receiving. So you are not just lying back and I'm touching you. You'll choose how you want it to be, and then you'll be guiding me to give you the best touch for your body. And again, I know this is intimidating, and that you'll be like, but I don't know what I like, or I don't know my body. And it's a learning experience. So I'm there and I can give you options. Would you like to start this way or this way? And you can find out what you like. And then as you're receiving, you're tracking what's happening. You're tracking the level of pleasure that you're having. You're giving feedback. What would make this even better is something I'm going to ask you over and over again. And then at the end, we always install, we do the integration, and we reflect, what was that like? What did you just learn about your body? Which was the best bit? Which bit would you like not to happen again, or you'd like less of? So sexological bodywork is absolutely a phenomenal tool, a very unique tool for supporting you to have better, improved new experiences with your body. And this is also something that I say, the body heals, and I think our sex life heals through new positive experiences. So we need to have new positive experiences. And when we just go out and have them with people who maybe haven't at all explored themselves sexually or don't have the best way of communicating and have their own issues going on, it's not easy to find those experiences. And even if you're with a partner who you've been with for a really long time and they're stressed or they're feeling a bit lazy or whatever, you might just keep reaching for an experience but not quite getting it. So this space, you don't have to think about me. It's not about my pleasure or my enjoyment. I'm literally there in service of you. So you can focus completely on yourself. You can be so self-centered for your learning, with no guilt, with no shame. Of course, for many clients, shame comes up, and that's something I support them to work through. Now, what are the differences between sexological bodywork and sex work? There are big differences. So because sexological bodywork is part of a coaching model, there are, I would say, like 4 things that really distinguish it from sex work. The first is that every experience is for your learning or your healing or your discovery. I like the discovery part too. It's playful. And so it's not pleasure just for pleasure's sake. It's really to support your sexual self-development, and that it is also fun and pleasurable, but it's not like, oh, what do I want to do tonight? I'll just book in for a sexological bodywork session and have a good time. Although that is actually my idea of fun. But it requires this active receiving, this active engagement. The second thing is that clients don't orgasm or ejaculate in a session unless it's specifically for their learning or healing. This is part of the trauma-informed approach that it is, and that's not something I've mentioned yet, but it's very trauma-informed. And so we do the minimum required. We do the minimum required for you to get the outcome that you desire. So if you have a block around orgasm, we may go all the way to orgasm for you to learn. But if your block is around knowing what you enjoy and expanding your sex and pleasure range and the different things that you can do in order to get there, well, you don't have a problem with orgasm. So we'll explore different strokes and different rituals, but we won't take it all the way to orgasm. We have a different way of ending things that spreads the pleasure around all of your body and leaves you feeling like sparkly and glowy and very, very, very good and high energy. So it's another delicious ending. And the 2 more things that are different from sex work. So 1, the practitioner never gets undressed. So I'm not taking off my clothes when you're taking off your clothes. And I know that can feel vulnerable. For other people, it's great. It's like, thank you. This makes it all, the boundaries are so much clearer. But this is about you. And I know that it can feel intimidating sometimes, but it's my role to make you feel safe and to lessen that experience of any sense of power dynamic. In fact, I hope that by the end of the session, you're like, I feel more powerful for having my clothes off. And you should feel like equal to me, if not even more powerful than me. Like you're the center of the session or the experience. The last thing that makes it very different from sex work is that the sexological bodywork, hands-on, genital touch, erotic touch, requires me to wear gloves. So I wear sterile gloves just like your dentist or your doctor or your gynecologist would wear. And I turn them inside out so they have like a more of a skin-like feel. And it's fine, you know, people kind of can worry about it at the beginning and then they just don't notice it. And I have really lovely like pink gloves or sexy black gloves. So yeah, I think that's it. Is there anything else I want to share about sexological bodywork? Yeah, the last thing I'll share is that when you move through these sessions, you won't, even though you'll like have so much more confidence, because you'll be like, wow, look what my body can do. I thought I couldn't have pleasure, and I can have so much pleasure, and I thought I couldn't last a long time, and I can last such a long time. You'll not only have those experiences, but you'll be able immediately to go out and create those experiences with other people. So it's it's just a wonderful long-term personal self-development experience that affects all areas of your life. It should not be underestimated. If you're going on this journey, you should have goosebumps. You should feel the tension of like, I'm about to blossom and thrive on a whole new level. I can't wait to meet you. If you're ready, book in a consultation, links below, and have a great day with your body.